Hello guys and welcome to episode 3 of my Amazon Lord of the Rings TV series map location series. In today's video we're going to be looking at the Dwarven Kingdom, which is known as Khaza-Dûm and later known as Moria. Today's video is actually going to be quite long as there's loads of information to cover. I hope you guys enjoy, and please subscribe if you're brand new, as over 80% of you are watching are not subscribed, so I really appreciate it. But let's just get into the video. And we're going to do Khaza-Dûm. So firstly, let's start off with a quick overview like we always do about Khaza-Dûm. So Khaza-Dûm was also known as Moria and Druid Elf. It was an underground kingdom beneath the misty mountains. It was known for being the ancient realm of dwarves of Durin's folk. It was the greatest kingdom ever built by the dwarves, and there are many other dwarven kingdoms like Erebor, but Moria / Khaza-Dûm was seen as the biggest and strongest. Next, let's talk about the other names that Khaza-Dûm has been referred to throughout the ages of the Legendarium. So those names are Moria, Halls of Durin, Mines of Moria, Druid Elf, and Khaza-Dûm. Sorry if I botched the last one. The inhabitants of Khaza-Dûm were mostly Durin's folk, and spoken languages were Khazad-Dûm, Sindarin, Westron, Black Speech, and Orcish. And it was founded / built between the years of the trees 1050 and years of the trees 1250, so between that time. So now let's go on to the actual history of Moria / Khaza-Dûm. So we're going to start in the years of the trees. The Druid Elf was founded by Durin the Deathless in the far distant past, long before the creation of the sun and the moon. So this is before the sun and moon was created, where all the light of Arda came from the trees. And Durin had awakened at Mount Gundabad not long after the elves first awoke. And as eldest among the fathers of the dwarves, he was acknowledged as the leader among them and had a quite high status, which was inherited by his descendants, the kings of the Longbeards. Over the following years, Durin's clan started to grow, and from Mount Gundabad, this is quotations from the book, they spread southward down the vales of the Anduin, all while they were under attack from orcs of Morgoth. So while they were journeying, they were getting attacked by orcs. But according to legend, Durin ultimately found a glen of shadows between two great arms of the mountains, above which 3 white peaks were shining. Within this heavily wooded valley, a long series of short waterfalls led down to a long oval lake, which appeared to have a magical quality, and this is of course Moria. And the description is quite magical. Begin quotation. They're like jewels sunk in the deep shone glittering stars, though sunlight was in the sky above. Perceiving these stars as a crown glittering above his head, Durin took this as an auspicious sign and named the lake Khaza-Dûm, the Mirrormere. Additionally, the 3 peaks overshadowing the lake he named the Redhorn, the Silvertine, and the Cloudy Head. The icy cold springs below the lake he called Silverlode, and the valley itself he gave the name the Dimwell Dale. Durin chose the eastward facing caves above Khaza-Dûm as the earliest beginnings of his new stronghold. All of these places become revered amongst Durin's people in later days. His descendants erected a rune-carved stone monolith, Durin Stone, on the site where he had first looked into the Mirrormere, and although it had been really weather-worn and worn down by the end of the Third Age, it was broken, cracked, and faded, but the influence of Durin I, the founding king of Khaza-Dûm, was never forgotten. The long reign of Khaza-Dûm's first king was the Golden Age, remembered as Durin's Day, as we can see later on in The Hobbit. During that period, Khaza-Dûm grew continually in size and population till it became the greatest of all mansions of dwarfs, even before the return of the Noldor to Middle-earth. During the reign of Durin the Deathless, some of the wonders of dwarf architecture were built in Khazad-Dûm: Durin's Bridge, the Second Hall, the Endless Stair, and Durin's Tower. After his death, the reputation of Durin's realm continued to grow because he was seen as the father of all dwarves. Now we are into the First Age. Khazad-Dûm played no part in the Wars of Beleriand, which involved Morgoth, and in fact gained a respite from orc attacks throughout the First Age, when Morgoth needed all his strength elsewhere. So this basically means not a lot of orcs actually did attack Khazad-Dûm. The Longbeards maintained contact with all the other 6 dwarf clans, and after early men arrived in Rohavian, Khazad-Dûm quickly began trading with them and basically exchanging products and other materials and food and stuff. Then the eventual death of Druid Deathless occurred before the end of the First Age. He was buried in a tomb in Khazad-Dûm. Finally, we're into the part which could be in the new Amazon Lord of the Rings TV series, which is the Second Age. And actually quite a lot of events did happen in the Second Age that could be referred to in the show or even shown. So firstly, early in the Second Age, Khazad-Dûm's realm of Longbeards were enriched in culture, skills, and population by a large number of refugees from Belegost and Novgorod. Both those cities were known for dwarves, but there had been rumoured at the end of the First Age, along with the destruction of most of Beleriand in the big final battle against Morgoth. The dwarfs of those cities struggled for 40 further years after the cataclysms, before many of them made the difficult decision to leave their homelands behind and cross Eriador to the new, great and ancient Druid Elf. So basically, just to summarise, these dwarfs left their war-torn homes to come and live in a better place, which was Moria. The dwarfs of Belegost and Novgorod were not Longbeards, but Broadbeams and Firebeards. So those are the 2 other clans out of the 7 clans. Whether they remained separate clans or groups within their new home or became merged with the Longbeards is not known. While this was all happening, orcs once again became well armed and very numerous, cruel, savage and reckless in the soul. In the battles that followed, the dwarves were outnumbered, and though they were the most redoubtable warriors of all the speaking peoples, they were glad to make alliances with men, as they were becoming overwhelmed. The orcs were all more easily defeated by the new combination of Khazad-Dûm's heavy infantry and the horsed archers provided by men, so there's a coalition here. And the Longbeards consequently came to dominate the northern and central Hithelgre and the lands east of there. During this time also, there were friendly relations between the Longbeards and the elves. Many of the elves then became involved in the development of Khazad-Dûm's mansions as a consequence, and it became far more beautiful during this period. The friendship also resulted in a massive westwards extension of the subterranean realm of Khazad-Dûm, and the west gate was produced and made. And also Celebrimbor, thank you for the person in the comments, I've forgotten your name, I'll give you a shout out at the end of the video, who said it's Celebrimbor, not Celebrimbor, thank you. But carry on. Celebrimbor, the Lord of Eregion, used Ithildin lettering on this gate on behalf of his builder, who was a great craftsman of Khazad-Dûm. And this message actually read, I Navi made them. Celebrimbor of Eregion drew these signs. And the west gate allowed the elf lady Galadriel and her followers to pass eastward through Khazad-Dûm and establish Lothlorien, which was actually our last episode as well. Now let's get into how Moria and Khazad-Dûm actually look like from the inside. There's some descriptions as well. So below the level of the gates lay mines, treasuries and even dungeons. Although far below the lowest deep of Khazad-Dûm lay primordial tunnels in perpetual darkness, gnawed by nameless things that had lived there since the earliest beginnings of Arda. So these are just basically creatures that had been living there for ages. To summarize that may be a bit hard to understand. And we saw this place a bit in the Two Towers when Gandalf was fighting off the Balrog in the cinematic version of Lord of the Rings. Few ever actually saw these creatures as well, and there's no description of them. Here are some cool features in Moria. So one of the features was a defensive structure known as Durin's Bridge. It was described as a slender bridge of stone without curb or rail that spanned a 50-foot wide chasm of intermediate depth, allowing enemy soldiers to cross it only in single file, one after the other, not side by side. Another one was the Endless Stair, which ascended from the lowest dungeon to the highest peak, where it terminated within the Durin's Tower, carved from solid rock. Afterwards, Sauron had a deep hatred for Khaza-Dûm and ordered his orcs to trouble Durin's folk at every turn, even though the halls of Khaza-Dûm were too deep and strong and filled with the people too numerous and valiant for Sauron to conquer from without. Despite this, its people began to dwindle from this time, possibly due to the loss of provisions that had been provided by men in the vales of the Anduin, so this bit could be shown in the TV series. Now let's wrap up and go into the Third Age. I'm going to summarise this quite quickly because most of it is covered in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So throughout the beginning of the Third Age, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm expanded its treasure, but its numbers began to dwindle just like the end of the Second Age. The majority of their wealth was based on their hoards of mithril, which we saw in The Lord of the Rings and Hobbits that Bilbo had and was given to Frodo. In the Third Age, 1980, they dug too deeply and greedily for mithril, and to their loss had unearthed a nameless terror in the depths beneath the city. This was the Balrog, and had slayed King Durin VI. Therefore the creature was named Durin's Bane, and Gandalf thought this afterwards as well. After the dwarves had left Khazad-dûm, gathered dust and stood dark and empty from the sinister creature that lurked in its depths. This was when it was named Moria, the Black Pit, so this is when all the dwarves had left. The monster later revealed as a Balrog of Morgoth, which was famously said by Legolas in the Lord of the Rings adaptation, and the orcs refused to go back there until there was an expansion by Dwalin, who sent many dwarves to go and try take back. Actually, it was Balin who got many dwarves and told them to go and take back Moria from the Balrog, but that ended badly. So Balin's expedition ended badly as they died, and the tomb is seen in The Lord of the Rings. Then after the failings of Balin's expedition, the Quest of the Ring was the next time Moria was properly seen in the Legendarium, where the hobbits Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, the men Aragorn, Boromir, dwarf Gimli, Legolas, and the wizard Gandalf set out from Rivendell and actually went to Moria and saw the tomb of Balin as well, which made Gimli very remorseful and more enraged to kill the trolls and goblins that now live in Moria. And then the Fellowship did leave there, but Gandalf had fallen at that time to the Balrog, and this change flipped the coin for the whole side for how the whole quest to destroy the ring was going, as the main leader, the main mentor, had just perished as they thought. Obviously that was not true. So now let's go on to the Fourth Age. Following their exile from Khazad-dûm, the long-bearded dwarves always yearned for their homeland, even after more than 1,000 years had passed. Azan-Zulibar became the deep shadow valley which we cannot forget. Just as they felt compelled to continue incorporating the image of those mountains into many works of metal and stone, into many songs and tales, they stand tall in our dreams. So they're basically longing for a homeland, all these dwarves. But with the destruction of the Balrog, the way was at last clear for the Longbeards to reclaim the Druid Elf. However, and it is told that only a few centuries into the Fourth Age, during the 7th, a descendant of Thorin III, Stonehelm, at last led his people back to their longed-for ancient homeland, retrieving what they could of Khazad-dûm's once mighty rich. Thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it, and goodbye.